Sophos ZTNA provides an elegant zero-trust solution for secure remote access to network applications and data. Setting up a ZTNA is a simple 5-step process that is clearly outlined on the ZTNA home screen in Sophos Central. First, we need to sync the users. Then, add an identity provider. Configure the ZTNA gateways, add the required policies, and finally, add the resources that the remote users are allowed to access. For the demonstration purposes of this video, we have deployed the ZTNA Gateway on AWS Cloud, used the user portal for application access, and Azure AD as the identity provider. Once we are logged into Sophos Central, navigate to Global Settings Directory Service, and make sure to synchronize the Azure AD. The main purpose is to import the users and groups from the Azure AD to Sophos Central. As you can see, the Azure AD has some users and groups configured on it. So, coming back to Sophos Central, we click on the Sync Now button. Then, click on People and verify that the Azure AD users and their groups are imported successfully. The next step is to set up an identity provider because the ZTNA Gateway authenticates users accessing resources based on user groups imported from Azure AD. So we click on ZTNA and then select the Identity Providers section. For this demo video, we have already added the Azure AD as the identity provider and verified that the test connection is successful. Now, the next step is to set up a ZTNA gateway that will control access to resources on your network. So, we click on the Gateways section, click on Add Gateway, enter the FQDN and domain name, select the platform type as AWS, upload the certificate and its private key, and finally, click on the Save button. This will show an option to launch Stack, and clicking on it will open the AWS Web Console in the new tab and show the CloudFormation stack that will deploy the ZTNA Gateway cluster in the AWS account. After the gateway deployment is completed in the AWS Web Console, in Sophos Central it will ask for approval, so we need to click on the Approve button for that gateway. In our scenario, this is the FQDN configured for the ZTNA Gateway that is already deployed in AWS. Next, we have policies that allow us to give users access to resources and set conditions for access. So, click on the Policies section, add Policy, and here it shows two options, Agent and Agentless. The agent-based option requires a ZTNA agent to be installed on the user's computer, and with this policy type, you can set conditions for access. The agentless option doesn't require a ZTNA agent to be installed on the user's computer, so it is useful to grant access to web apps. For this demo environment, we have already created this test policy with the agentless option, and the policy enforcement option is also enabled. The final step in the ZTNA configuration is setting up the resources that the user would want to access remotely and define which user groups can access them. So, click on Resources and Access, and for this demo video, we have created 3 resources, each having different external FQDNs, and are mapped to their internal private IP that is reachable by the ZTNA Gateway. Now, let's see some live action for ZTNA. First, copy the Gateway FQDN and try to access it through the web browser. It will ask the user to authenticate, so we log into the portal with the username Steve Rogers and his password. This user is a member of the All Staff and Support User groups imported from Azure, so the ZTNA portal will only show the resources that are authorized for these user groups. Clicking on it will open the web page in a new tab, and the user can access this successfully. Now, since this user is not part of the finance user group, when he tries to access the finance web page, the access is denied. Now let's see another example of the remote user's experience here. We log in to the ZTNA portal with another username, Jane Doe, and this user is a part of all staff and the finance users groups. So, as expected, the user is displayed only those specific resources and is allowed to access both of them. Jane Doe, not being a part of the support group, the access to the support web page is denied. Reports provide insight into your ZTNA platform, so we click on Reports, and we can see the reports for the configured Ztna Gateway using pre-configured templates, such as gateway bandwidth, resource bandwidth, denied resource access, and authenticated users. The graphical view can also be modified such that the data can be visualized in different forms. This report shows the data transfer for users and the resources that they have tried to access. Next, we have the Authenticated Users template that shows the authentication status of various users with the event time. Then we can also have a look at the Denied Resources report that shows details about the users that were denied access to certain resources and the reasons why they were denied access with the event time. And finally, we have the Resource Bandwidth template that shows the total consumption of the resources. Feel free to check out these additional resources related to Sophos ZTNA, and its link is mentioned in the description below. This concludes the demo of the Sophos ZTNA. We hope you liked the video, and thanks for watching.